Greetings, fellow Gothamites. Bluedragonfive here.
And Rohith Dhar.
And Lazerdude.
And surprise, surprise, we're back even earlier than you all thought we were going to be. Yes, that we had a change of heart. We decided to not take a gap. We wanted to keep this Arkham train going. We wanted to talk about something that was that's very much in the Arkham continuity. It's very much in the Arkham game story. That honestly, I've always kind of treasured this one. I really like this one. We kind of covered it way back, but you know what? It's kind of a 10th anniversary year for it anyway, and also. To be frank, it's kind of a screw you to the Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, which kind of throws out all the hard work the Arkham games kind of put into everything. Where this thing was made in conjunction with those games and kind of actually factored in like how do we fit into things versus let's just chuck it all out the window with the Suicide Squad game. So we're deciding to kind of do right by the one that's been overlooked, in terms of the space of the games, and we wanted to kind of give this one its due. So, Assault on Arkham with the trusty Arkham panel here.
Oh, glad to be here.
Happy to be here as well.
Yeah. Heads up, not all of us might make it to the end of this podcast. We'll have bombs in our necks.
Wait a minute, who has the detonator?
I think Jacob.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Anyway. So, I've always loved this movie. I always thought when this movie came out in 2014, I really thought we knew Suicide Squad movies like on the horizon. I really thought this was the blueprint for any Suicide Squad movie, and then 10 years later, it's the blueprint for what a Suicide Squad game should be. So it's all relative. It keeps coming back like a bad penny, but in the best of ways. I'm a sucker for the Suicide Squad as a concept. It's just I love the whole Dirty Dozen angle. I love the idea of the villains being forced into kind of like heroics, kind of shady heroics in the grand scheme. I love everything about it. And just mixing it in with the Arkham games, it's just a fun in for like, okay, well, what's a good excuse to have the Suicide Squad? Well, that would actually be kind of a fun little kind of cross promotion there. Like, yeah, let's get them in here. We kind of make in a way that would make sense. I think it's the movie as a whole is kind of a spiritual successor to the excellent Task Force X episode of Justice League Unlimited. Which probably was my introduction to Suicide Squad, frankly, probably. And it really it takes the game's history into account more than than the later game that we did get. I'm not just going to keep throwing it under the bus, but it's the fact that the Suicide Squad has gotten adaptations that sometimes can be a little dicey. And I've always, even when the first David Ayer film came out, I always said if that David Ayer movie get like just half of what this movie did right, we should be in good shape. And I mean I should have chose my words more carefully back then because it did get half of it right. But what am I saying? Why am I settling for half?
Well, they didn't even look that the game. I haven't played it, but they didn't even look at continuity stuff like, I don't know, Deadshot's skin color.
Well, there's an in-universe reason.
It's a dumb explanation, though, Rohit. Come on. It's dumb.
I mean, for me, it should be the other way around. Where,
it should be.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think this is about Assault on Arkham. That's
the thing. We don't want to dwell. Again, the whole point of this is we're trying to talk about the good one of these, not the lame one.
Yeah. I guess I won't be sort of the negative version of this panel, but it's been a while since I watched it, and then watching it just today, so it's all fresh in my mind. I think it's an okay film. It's an okay, Suicide Squad story. I think for me, there's better in animation. There's Suicide Squad: The Road to Hell. I think is a better Suicide Squad story. And then in the movies, like The Suicide Squad by James Gunn is clearly like those two. I think are sort of the pinnacle, the gold standard for me for Suicide Squad stories outside of the comics, obviously. And
Right, but it's one of those things where it's like it was the best at the time.
no,
Like
I totally
it's like how when you look at Spider-Man 2 back in the day, Spider-Man 2 used to be the pinnacle that we held superhero movies up to. It was like this is the best. And now I don't even know if it would be on my top 10. But it's like when at the time this was the pinnacle way to do a Suicide Squad story.
Yeah, and also Rohit, it's Hell to Pay. Not you're thinking. I think you're thinking of the tie-in comic.
that's right. Thank you
Yeah,
for the clarification.
which is good, by the way. I like that, but it's it's the other way around. Okay, so, but no, look, I'm with you. Look, here's the thing. I want to basically, even with the David Ayer Suicide Squad film, what I'm saying is the Suicide Squad as a concept, for the most part, feels like even in its worst version, there's still the concept. There's at least like some elements that work because the concept is kind of that unbreakable in terms of like just such a kind of insanely good idea. And of course, do we stick the landing on it? Not always. Again, per David Ayer Suicide Squad or the game. But again, we have other adaptations that do it tremendously well. I would say kind of a trifecta being Salt and Arkham, Hell to Pay, and James Gunn Suicide Squad.
I'd say that one of the movie's biggest problem is that it has a little bit of an identity crisis. Like the name is Batman Assault on Arkham. And just by the name alone, you would never know that this is a Suicide Squad movie with Batman being like the fifth most important character in here, if that. And there's like it switches focus on who's like the main villain like three different times, who's the main focus. But all in all, it still comes together as a bunch of characters who you want to see make you want to see who makes it out alive, and some of them who do die, you're like, oh crap, I kind of like them.
Just a few things I want to highlight before we really get into it here. It's a little bit of some minor background stuff. Another thing I think this movie has in its favor is a really good director on this. We have Jay Oliva doing this. And Jay Oliva, he was the director on the Dark Knight Returns animated adaptation, which I really liked. And that was pretty much him riding high off of that, kind of going into this, along with Ethan Spalding, who was who was on the Legend of Korra and a bunch, I believe, probably Avatar and Legend of Korra, but good director. Beat my point there. They had some DCAU crew on this with James Tucker, and yeah, basically the whole thing kind of formed in which it kind of dawned on them, like, hey, let's we basically Warner Brothers Interactive. It sounds like they wanted them to do something in conjunction with Arkham Origins, which would come out at that time. Like we want kind of a tie-in, basically something to kind of bridge between Arkham Origins and Arkham Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of coming off the Arkham Origins stuff, they kind of very much kind of wanted that, and then they really kind of got into the groove. Like let's basically do a Suicide Squad movie as a Guy Ritchie caper heist movie, which is kind of where they get the tone and the whole like. Okay, it's people are coming for a Batman Arkham thing. We're going to kind of twist it on its head by having the Suicide Squad be the focus.
Yeah, and it's a fitting kind of follow up to Arkham Origins, because I think there's that special post credit scene where like Amanda Waller approaches Deadshot, and then basically recruits him to the Suicide Squad. We don't have Deathstroke in this Suicide Squad. It would have been very interesting to see how he would interact and play along. But I think
he has a lot more push-ups to do.
Well, look, that's Rohit, absolutely. Deathstroke on Suicide Squad, very interesting. But I mean, in terms of like doing something as representative of the classic Suicide Squad stuff and kind of the mainstays, you do kind of need Deadshot in the mix, though. And you can't having Deadshot and Deathstroke unless you do a specialty story with that. I mean, to do kind of like, okay, here's like kind of our statement on the Suicide Squad. We don't really, Deathstroke complicates that.
So I'll say this is that. Dragon, how you always kind of make the point, or not always, but sometimes you make the point that like there's never been a bad Alfred, adaptation. I think for the most part, there's never really been a bad Deadshot adaptation. Like
He started out not great in Arrow, but they kind of came around.
And look, that's a, he look. Yeah, he did. Look, I'm not knocking the Arrow version per se, because you're right. He did come around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking more like, we may have had some watered down dead shots, but not bad dead shots. I'll give you that. We haven't had I don't think we've had like a stinkeroo dead shot.
Then again, Deadshot is not that type of character where you need like ultra importance. Like this is one of the few things where he's the main character in anything.
I think for me, it's like Deadshot kind of has. There's not really like a base. I mean, Deadshot has a certain base personality in the comics that kind of ebbs and flows. But in the adaptations, there kind of always a different takes, but each take kind of doesn't feel like out of place. It fits with what that story is wanting to do with Deadshot. I think for this, what was interesting to me in watching this movie is that Deadshot is kind of the established veteran, Suicide Squad member that kind of takes charge and lead, which is an interesting dynamic because usually, in most Suicide Squad stories, the no nonsense like take charge character is always Rick Flag. And I guess like maybe because they wanted to keep the roster just simple and not overcomplicate with too many characters. Probably this Deathstroke certainly has a lot of qualities that you would typically find in Rick Flag in Suicide Squad stories.
Well, it's funny because like the Suicide Squad has had many different teams. It's like it seems like every time there's like a new team, they'll get a bunch of supervillains, and a lot of them are gonna die. But it always seems like Deadshot's always there, and I'm like, if Deadshot hasn't earned his sentence off yet, is anyone ever going to? Like Amanda Waller
he's killed
says,
a lot of people. And those charges kind of add up after a while.
I guess, but like only when he's convicted. Like he only has to the confirmed deaths, right? Maybe this is wrong. If he leaves a calling card, maybe this was a mistake. It's like the Wet Bandits. It's like, thanks for marking a bullseye on all of your bullets. Now we know everyone you've killed.
Well, I mean, considering how good of an assassin he is, his body count has to be a ridiculous number just for official kills. Unofficial, it might be even a bigger number, but even official, it's like this dude's going to be like serving like full on life in federal prison. So
I'm just saying, like, how many years does he get off his sentence, and when is he like? There should just be a Suicide Squad comic where Amanda Waller says, "All right, you've earned enough. Have a nice day," and then he just
you get.
Well, remember, we kind of do that in Hell to Pay, kind of.
No. What what Lazerdude is suggesting is we need like a habeas corpus attorney. We need to like have Floyd Lawton sue the U.S. government for all the time that he's lost and serving that would be a courtroom drama.
Anyway, was Harley Quinn put in the Suicide Squad in comics before this movie?
Yes, that's.
I'm trying to think of.
So what happened was in the New 52, she was.
Yeah, what's the New 52?
That's when she was folded into the Suicide Squad, and also that's where they got the idea to kind of have her and Deadshot have a little. I think they did a lot better here, but they had like a little bit of a romantic fling, or like not a romantic fling, but they had like a fling.
Some sensual chemistry. Or
exactly. So that was something that was in the comic, but it was really creepy and off-putting in the comic, and here we made a lot more fun.
Yeah, it's still a little creepy.
No, it's creepy. I'm saying, look, in the comic, she put like the Joker's removed face on his mask. It was weird in the comic.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
There could be a way in which it's like
fair enough.
Do that scene and it'd be really funny in a dark kind of a way, and it's like, oh, I'm just trying to get over my ex, and just puts the Joker face on Joker.
Yeah, so this went a lot smoother in my estimation. But point being, I guess maybe it's to start breaking things down just in the film and kind of building back to Deadshot and stuff. We have Batman kind of Arkham game style foiling Amanda Waller's attempts to kill the Riddler. We have some nice Arkham action with him taking out all the troops.
Yeah, like special forces.
Well, yeah, special forces. Again, like just the military. Like her Waller's flunkies.
Mm-hmm. I appreciated the opening sequence being very like what you would see in a typical Arkham game. I kind of wish we got Wally Winger to voice.
Yeah, so we should talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like
no
most of the
Wally
voice
Winger.
acting. So I was just gonna say most of the voice acting from everyone is great. Joe DiMaggio is great as King Shark. I forget the guy's name, but the guy who does Deadshot is really really good.
That's Neil McDonough. He was Damien
Yeah,
Dark in Arrow,
Damien
and
Dark. Yeah, I knew
also
that.
Green Arrow in the Green Arrow short.
Right, right. And then Hayden Walsh.
Mm-hmm. Hinden
She's
Walsh.
great as Harley Quinn. And then you just got the guy from Criminal Minds as the Riddler, and that sounds like it's actually a great pick because
Mm-hmm.
he's an intellectual type character, but it's just not working for me.
I mean, that's the thing. Look, he's a good pick for the Riddler, but again, being in the Arkham games with the aesthetic and all the stuff that's factored in there, it's kind of glaring that, especially given the plot point that the Riddler is, why would we not get Wally Winger as a voice actor? How would we not be able to get him for this?
Mm-hmm.
Why would we not get him for this?
It makes me kind of wonder why Tara Strong wasn't brought in to voice Harley Quinn.
I have an
least,
unsubstantiated theory on that.
All right.
Just to say, at least Tara Strong though is like a big enough voice actress where she could be like, "Hey, I'm busy with other stuff." I don't know how much stuff Wally Wingert is doing.
Yeah, I mean, we had Wally Winger actually on the channel once briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very brief conversation. Could have gone better, could have gone a little longer, but yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, he's a cool guy. I love his ties to Adam West specifically. He also came from radio, and there's a lot of interesting stuff there. Anyway, so I speculate now, mind you, there's a glaring hole in this logic because Tara Strong briefly is Harley in the Arkham Origins,
Mm-hmm.
but my logic was Hinden Walsh also has, again, who's also voiced Harley in The Batman, main reason she was in the running for this. I mean, I think they're trying to bridge a bit of the gap because, again, the setting wise, this is 2 years before Arkham Asylum, and it's, which of course is years after Arkham Origins. And it feels like we're trying to bridge the gap.
Trying to go for a more Arlene type of voice.
Yeah, that's the thing. Remind you, they do have a handicap in that they're playing the whole long game on. Okay, we're not revealing that Mark Hamill is coming back to play Joker in Arkham Knight. So because of that, we basically Hamill's unofficially he's in quotes retired at that point, as far as everyone knows. And because of that, we don't have Mark Hamill. And Sorkin had retired at that point. So it feels like we're going for something that sounds kind of like maybe like a 2 years younger version of those characters, at least hypothetically. And we have that with again, Troy Baker played an excellent young. He's a one. I love Troy Baker's take on the Joker. I think if you need a sound like Mark Hamill, I think that's great, and especially for Arkham Origins, it played very well because again, it's a younger version of that character, so it sounds enough like him, and by it is a little younger. So, with the caveat of 2 years younger being a stretch, but okay, fine, it's 2 years. He sounded a little different 2 years ago. But let's just say, I think it fits. And I love Hinden Walsh's performance, and I kind of see like, okay, still sounds a little Arlene Sorkin-esque, and then maybe post her grieving process, or sorry, not grieving process, just post Arkham Asylum, then we kind of shift into the Tara Strong voice for that character. Again, it's a leap, but that's like the only logic I can determine aside from Tara Strong being busy.
Well, Hinden Walsh to Arlene Sorkin to.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's the thing though. So we have Hinden Walsh to Arlene Sorkin to Tara Strong.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we got the almost all. We just need Margot Robbie in one of the Arkham things, and we got them all. But I do think she does a good job. One of my favorite Harley Quinn's lines she delivers so perfectly is when she says she used to work at Arkham Asylum, and Boomerang is like, really, as what? He's like, as a psychiatrist, silly. And pal, anyone who throws boomerangs has real issues letting go.
It's a good line.
Heath
Corson wrote this. He did a really good job.
It's just such a perfect line from Harley. The right amount of sass, like cutesiness, and also like actually using her psychology degree for once.
Mm-hmm. So from a plotting perspective, again, missing Wally Wingert aside, Batman and Waller, they have conflicting goals, and she's got a need for the Suicide Squad. Batman's put a big, kink in her plan there. Of like, she can't. Well, we reveal later she can't kill off the Riddler like she wanted to in the beginning, which would have solved all of her problems. And to get to him, we got to get into Arkham Asylum to do that. We need Task Force X, and we have this is one of the favorite parts of me. I love we had this great montage that introduced our characters in a very visual, kind of fun, jazzy way.
Opening credits, good.
Yeah, it's really solid opening credits. We establish our lineup, everything we need to know about these characters too. So we have Killer Frost, and also here's a subtle detail I never really fully caught is that we do establish they are, at least presumably with Boomerang, but everyone else they're in Gotham. Like they were in Gotham upon their they were in the neighborhood per the Arkham game of it all. So Killer Frost, she was arrested while robbing a bank in Gotham. We got King Shark. He's more of a kind of a. Again, they did the grounded version of King Shark, which again the later games just kind of threw out completely.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's practically kind of a cannibalistic serial killer.
Another thing, King Shark dies in this movie, and yet he's in the game.
King Shark. The retcon is King Shark is a mantle, and not and.
Yeah, I know.
It's just this way in comics. How many How many supervillains are there? Like 3 or 4 versions that are like.
So wait, one King Shark and tames the mantle, and he's just a really buff, pale guy with like metal teeth, and the other one's an actual shark.
Yes,
but I mean, still though, the idea they were told like, okay, they were doing an Arkham kind of a more grounded Arkham version of King Shark. This is a pretty neat idea for it. It's a version you never have seen before of that character. And if you're going to change it up and do kind of a more grounded Batman rogue version of that character, it's pretty fun.
I mean, yeah, it's the design for King Shark. I could very much see like on a video game. And it fits with the aesthetic of that world. So I give props to the animators and designers for that particular look.
Plus, DiMaggio really brought him to life too, which is like there's something really likable about this character.
Despite the fact that we see him bathing in the bloods of corpses that he has hanging from the
it's
ceiling.
Crazy, right?
Opening scene, and we like him.
And yet he's afraid of heights.
That he dies.
Yeah. Let's see. So Black Spider, played by the wonderful Giancarlo Esposito. Which, interestingly, he was originally supposed to be a different character, which ended up being in the next Suicide Squad animated film. Originally, yeah, he was supposed to be Bronze Tiger, but I think it's because they killed him off. But mainly, the way in which they killed him off. It sounds like that. Bronze Tiger's always been kind of on the fence, being more anti-hero than full-on villain, and ultimately Black Spider is kind of something similar in this. He's kind of a villain he's a killer with a code, but same point.
Does Tiger's mask cover his whole face?
Well, occasionally, but not often.
So yeah, sometimes he'll have like a mask on, like in the earliest comics of the Suicide Squad and some later iterations, but. Other times they'll just kind of like have like a tiger costume without a mask.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, like it kind of makes sense because the way Black Spider moves about and like acts, it feels more in line with Bronze Tiger than necessarily Black Spider, especially with the fact that Black Spider is supposed to be like a barely legal version of Spider-Man, and he doesn't really do a lot of Spider-Man things. So, but he kind of moves in a way that's like, oh, this is something like if you just kind of put it over like a Bronze Tiger skin, like it would be basically about the same.
But it's a good example of we took kind of like a no-name kind of villain and we kind of made him as cool as we possibly could, just like being kind of like the non-main member of the team. We have Giancarlo voicing him. He's got a code. He can escape constraints. He can basically you kind of buy at a certain point. He could go toe-to-toe with Batman the way we presented him in this film.
Yeah.
Anyway,
go ahead.
I was going to go through the rest of it. We have Captain Boomerang, obviously, mainstay. You got to have Boomerang and Deadshot in their rivalry. You definitely got to have those two. So that was a good call. Having Boomerang and kind of mixing up in the Chow line of prison. We have some of our red herrings like KG Beast. A lot of fun there. Originally, they were kind of contemplating a blockbuster for KGB. So I'm so glad they stuck with KGBs because I always loved that design. He's such kind of a frivolous character often. It's like, well, if we're going to make him frivolous, that's kind of like, that's the way to do it.
Also, I think visually he looks different. Like, because you had Blockbuster, he'd be kind of just like a less cooler version of Killer Shark.
King
So
Shark.
King Shark, yes.
You know what? I would have loved though if Deadshot wasn't in the room with KG Beast was, and like KG Beast blows up. Amanda Waller says, "Send to the replacement," and then Deadshot gets thrown.
That's kind of a fun idea, actually.
You know,
Ooh.
because like what was KG Beast only there to show everyone else that she could blow his head off? Did
I
he
mean,
not have a part
I don't
in
put
the
it past
plan?
her. I don't put it past her, and that's why he's there mainly. But yeah, it's like we have like a cool looking character who's.
I mean,
yeah.
let's be real. Amanda Waller is a true American patriot. And if there's anyone that's going to be first blown up to show an example, is going to be the agent of the KGB, right?
Yeah.
Well, by the way, let's just talk about how great it was to have CCH Pounder as Amanda Waller back, and on top of that, that she kept her like big figure because at this time we were getting sexy Waller in
That's a thing. So that was I think the new 52 introduced that too. By the way, like the thinner
and
Waller.
then Arrow also did it.
Yeah. Now, in the defense of the by the way, in case anyone's in the defense of the Suicide Squad hell to pay, the gag was they at least doesn't factor into just the movie on itself, but given that Waller is sick in that movie, the idea is she lost weight. It's kind of a head. Well, it's not a headcanon thing. Like when they were making the movie, their logic was they like Fat Waller, but they kind of wanted to change up the look, and their logic was okay. She is Fat Waller, but she's lost weight because she's dying. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but no, Lazerdude, I do really feel you though that it was really refreshing that it's CCH Pounder again, bringing kind of our DCAU kind of vibe there. Again, this thing feels like a caper like the Task Force X episode. We have Conroy's Batman. We have CCH Pounder. It's like the last time these two are kind of paired together in a really memorable way since the epilogue episode of JLU. So this is quite a fun little reunion in that respect. Anyway, so we had KG Beast. You have Harley Quinn. Again, I like visually though. She's kind of essentially at a kind of a halfway home. And again, it's kind of Harley kind of beginning a healing process, but still not quite getting it. Yeah, like she's trying to break away from the Joker, but she doubles back very easily.
Well, Harley's character in this film, I actually kind of really like because we never are fully told her motivations and what her actual plan is.
Yeah.
But it's almost like she doesn't know either. Like she shoots a gun at the Joker, and it just so happens that she shoots at a panel that allows him to access the security and break himself out.
And does she do it on purpose?
Or was that like even subconscious that she didn't even mean to do it, but her subconscious wanted to do it? And then by the end, when she teams up with the Joker, it's almost like she doesn't have a choice. Like mentally, she's just not there to make that choice anymore.
Like, is she doing it to save her friends, or is she doing that because that was what she wanted all along, or is she showing a moment of weakness? There's great ambiguity with Harley.
I mean, you can make the case that like Harley, when she's not in the presence of the Joker, is a much more not emotionally capable, but more independent thinking person, and I think. Right. It's kind of and it's there's a lot of research in that for people who have been in abusive relationships, when they're out of it, they are able to think for themselves, have a sense of agency, free will, all that stuff. But when that person comes back to the orbit, it's very easy for those people who've been in abusive relationships to kind of regress and go back to sort of a typical status quo dynamic of following the abuser. So.
That was the fun aspect. Because initially, when Harley was put on the Suicide Squad back when, I always thought, oh man, that's such a dumb idea. But then ultimately, as it kind of like over the years, this kind of show you that we do really get to kind of show Harley independent of the Joker, and there's a lot of fun to be had there, and she gets to kind of flourish as a character, and that's kind of like it's good for her. And that gives us like stuff like the Harley Quinn animated show ultimately, So.
I mean. look, when it comes to the character of Harley Quinn, I think all of us like the moments now that she's able to finally be her own character, break free from the Joker, and it's just good because it makes you feel like when you watch like the episode of Mad Love back in the day,
Mm.
where it's like Harley gets thrown out a window by this guy, and you think she's finally recognizing that she's not going to go back to him, and then it takes one flower and one lovely note and she falls right back into it. You feel like that's a depressing,
Hmm.
terrible, terrible thing. So I think it is empowering that we get this character now that has defeated those thoughts and those that abuse and has gotten over it and has overcome and become a new person. And I like that's there because otherwise it feels so hopeless as a character. But I also I think that it's good to have some versions of the character that is still trapped in that spot because otherwise there's no sacrifice, there's nothing that the character has to overcome. If the character's always like, what a loser Joker, it's like it feels like it was nothing to her to begin with.
Well, and also I think for stories like when she's kind of being her independent self, and then the Joker comes into the picture, if like as much as Joker is kind of like an enemy, the prime enemy and thorn in Batman's life, like the Joker could also, in some ways, be arguably also Harley's arch enemy or the person that has the most like influence over her. And I think when Joker shows up in Harley Quinn stories, there can be a way where there's a certain level of tension to where is Harley going to oppose and fight back against the Joker or fall back into that level of influence and do some harmful things to people that she wouldn't normally do.
And I don't want her to always fall, but I don't want her to always overcome, and not in every version is what I
Mhm.
mean.
Yeah, and I
You
think
get some like Injustice where she sees the terrible man for what he was, and then
mm,
you got some versions like Harley Quinn from the animated series and never fully got over it.
That's the thing. I mean, even going off the animated series, again, we had the times where she and Joker are on the outs, and she's with Ivy. So again, in that respect, even with this, it's nice to have the option of like there's the tragic flip flop where again you'll see her and root for her and flourishing on her own, but you always know he is a part of her, and there's always gonna be that whether she likes it or not, she'll be drawn into it. But again, just the fact that she's kind of trapped, but maybe not willingly going along with it to
yeah,
some degree.
and
I know there's a
and
lot of yeah,
and then there's kind of an unfortunate realistic aspect to it
yeah,
where like there are like for the most part people who get out of these relationships move on or are able to have self-fulfilling enriching lives, but there are those that whether just because of their psychology make them being susceptible to you know accept a certain abusive framework or what have you, they they can get out of the relationship, but the relationship can get out of them. And I think for Harley, it's like, yeah, she can get out of the Joker's orbit and do her own thing, but she is who she is because of the Joker, right? Like she was a psychiatrist that fell in love, got under the Joker's hypnosis, and it's not like after she's left, like she's gone completely back to being just Harley Quinzel. Like for all intents and purposes, she's never going back to that. So her being Harley
No,
Quinn, yeah, her being Harley Quinn,
she can
there is,
improve who she is, but she can never go back to who she was.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so then of course we have Deadshot. Deadshot again. We see a very smart character, excellent marksman. That also we see like very visually he's thinking about his daughter, and he's taking every opportunity. He tries to break out and tries to get away. That is is in the service of getting back to his daughter, and he and I love the moment that he shows that Doctor Mercy, and that was his undoing. Just a little moment of mercy there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, the point
Yeah,
that we
Deadshot's attitude in this movie I really like because he feels like he's the only really competent person here, and he's not necessarily wrong. Like he is the only genuine, full-on assassin here. And in a lot of ways, I've always kind of thought like, doesn't this feel like a little bit like overkill for Waller to send all these people just to kill the Riddler? Like can't you like bribe a guard to leave him in a cell alone with Zaz or something? You know, you're like,
but also here's kind of my thing when I was thinking about it after I finished. It was throughout the movie and after I finished. It's like, if the Cane is held in Arkham Asylum, why couldn't Amanda Waller use her government connections to just acquire the Cane?
well, the Cane was the red herring.
Yeah.
The real mission was to kill the Riddler
Oh,
because
right.
he
She doesn't
knew
really
how to
need
do
the
the bomb in
cane.
the head.
And these guys don't really care. They just want time off their sentences.
And it's just like, why send people with bombs in their heads to kill the person who knows how to disarm the bombs in their heads?
Yeah, if anything, she should have just sent like regular, like just a regular.
You think she has enough government connections to get Riddler transferred?
Yeah, or she could have just hired Deathstroke to come to like sneak into Arkham and kill, Riddler.
Yeah, just say, "Hey, Deathstroke, I'm gonna let you out. Here's Here's $1 million. Here's another million if you kill him. Just do it." And then he's like, "Yeah, done." But it's one of those things where there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense if you overthink it. Like, why on earth did she drop them in crates from the sky?
Well, that was a
You
head.
know?
Remember that was like a theatrics thing. She just wants to demonstrate your lives are in my hands, convicts.
They
Just
knew
trying to
that
tell 'em-
when KGB's
Well,
head got blown off.
yes.
And-
Half of them knew that was going to happen, though.
Well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Deadshot, Harley Quinn. This is the really fun thing
Yeah,
about it. Though, okay, we
Deadshot,
have.
Harley
So I
Quinn,
want to talk
Deadshot,
about
Batman.
the mission brief. Okay, so the mission
Yeah.
brief is a great way to recap the Suicide Squad, and that we have repeat members. They're there for another mission. They know each other. The three mainstays, and we detonate a bomb to basically demonstrate the cell of the Suicide Squad with KGB, so we know what we show what the heck happens when a bomb goes off and why they're all going to fall in line, be a little afraid of Waller, and then we get the mission. So yeah, we get everything that we need to know there, and then we have the theatrics showing that okay, Waller she's going to suffer no fools greatly, and she will endanger the lives of these guys and just breathe down their necks during this mission by pulling stuff like this.
Why does the Penguin have their weapons and why didn't Waller have them?
Well, remember the Penguin's like an arms dealer.
That always Penguin's in here just for Penguin to be in here. It's like
okay. Look, the real question is when they all woke up, why were they in their costumes? That's the real question because they were all knocked out, not in their costumes. The real question is why doesn't the Penguin just have the costumes all there? Because he's giving them their gear for the mission.
Because then they'd have to animate another outfit for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there was a lot of steps to just have them commit crimes and then get caught by Batman and sent to Arkham, and it's like you could have just had Harley be just dropped in Arkham Asylum, and then the other team could have just followed, without having to do the whole theater. You could have done that for Harley, and then everyone else could have just sneak in through Gotham City, and then just gone through the asylum through the Penguin and all that stuff. All that the parachute stuff. Yeah, it's the theatrical or whatever, but the fact that only Harley had to be the one to go to Arkham.
Well, here's the one good thing we do get out of it that is really nice for the movie is that we see again, it gives us some character dynamics to them. Before they're all dropped, they're kind of bantering, and we say, okay, so Harley's definitely kind of gravitating towards Deadshot. We see that Black Spider get out of the streets anytime he wants, just to keep him in line. More importantly, between that and when the parachute thing happens, we have the arc of Killer Frost and King Shark. They befriend each other. They become really close as the movie goes on because he saves her when her suit goes out, and then it's like he's carrying her when they're in the sewer, and later on she's concerned about him with the heights, and then when the bomb goes off. So there's a nice friendship that develops. That's what we get from the little misadventures getting to the mission.
Considering Killer Frost was to had her own mission through Amanda Waller, it would have been interesting and very much in line with the Suicide Squad ethos for her to portray King Shark, because I think that would have been such a cool dramatic moment if by her actions she King Shark died. I mean, with how King Shark died ultimately I really appreciate the fact that like, oh, this electric shock can work on regular humans, but because he's like a shark being, his skin is too tough. Which is like, oh, that's a really
Yep.
interesting downside of having a vulnerable skin.
Oh yeah, it's a very Luke Cage problem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do like that because other Waller needed to kill one of them on the mission, and not just obvious KG Beast blow up. It's KGB stands for kill uh, graphic boom. I don't know.
No, it's the KGB.
The KG boom.
Well, now.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Waller needed to get one of them, and I like that. That's the way it happened.
And I think with how powerful King Shark is as a character, I think you probably need to have him kill a lot because he probably would have, overpowered all the other characters, and maybe solve the third act in a way that would have been as satisfying.
Yeah, I want to talk about the evidence room scene or the room where all the stuff is, because this scene has me going crazy. Okay.
All right.
First off, what kind of evidence locker holds RPGs and live missiles just laying around with no locks or measures?
We've established Warden Sharp's does not live up to his last name. He's not the brightest.
But then there's the flippin' bomb that's just in this hammer. We've seen how thorough the security in Arkham is. Nobody picked up that there was a bomb.
I mean, my head canon is that you had to have the weapons in the evidence locker because that's obviously part of the evidence that the DAs use to prosecute the supervillains, and also there's probably in my mind the other additional head canons is one, Arkham maybe wants to appropriate the technology for their own uses or whatever, and that goes to Warden Sharp being a corrupt figure. Third, it's also the case that maybe instead of just using the weapons for their own means, they probably just keep the weapons and sell it on the black market.
I'm erring a little bit on what Rohit's saying, but I think it's honestly I really think it's kind of what Rohit initially said, where it's like it's weapons. We've seen the intake process in the top of Arkham Asylum. The patient themselves gets scanned, so they're not going to be holding their weapons. The weapon automatically goes somewhere, and then beyond there, maybe it's black market. It's kind of sold in the black market, or it's just they looked at it as a mal. It's incompetent. I'm saying it's more so incompetence on the Arkham Guards kind of side of things. We see the Arkham kind of complacent and corrupt. It's like it's just a mallet. What is it? They're not going to scan it.
It's the incompetence is you can have the weapon, but why are they fully loaded?
That's more of a miracle exception on that one.
Yeah.
Just leave the missiles lying around.
I mean, in their defense, the Mr. Freeze's thing wasn't loaded. Killer Frost fueled that thing. But you're right.
Okay, that's fine.
The missile launcher, you're right. There's no excuse for the missile launcher. I wanted to hear something in the defense of the movie, though. Well, kind of in the defense movie. When we get to the third act and we have full on just nods to the Arkham game, the writer and the crew, they full on admit it, yeah, we know it doesn't make a lot of sense, just kind of a fun nod to the games.
And also,
it was kind of mandated, and they kind of wanted to put it in there.
Also, why is the villains costumes and tech in Arkham Asylum and not in GCPD, right? Because it's what kind of mental asylum or jail keeps criminals evidence?
Well, we'll remember though, it's not the weapons shouldn't be there, but the costumes and stuff, they would be in the properties room, Riddler's cane properties room. That makes sense. Okay, the we saw in the crates, the majority of what was in the crates were costumes and stuff, Joker, a mallet. Okay, maybe the mallet. I could buy the mallet would be in there.
Oh, when you go to jail, you put your clothes. I
get your stuff back, just like Danny Ocean.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, even specifically, it's just like like there's like many interpretations of Arkham, but like sometimes they wean the patients off they wean the inmates off their personas. Like
Yeah.
for example,
Yep.
like in theory, you could say that the Scarecrow would need the mask. In theory, it's not guaranteed.
Imagine the funniest thing. I don't really think much of this, but like you go to jail, you put your clothes in, and then you get out, and either the clothes are too big for you because you lost a lot of weight, or the two clothes are too small on you because you gained a lot of weight in prison.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. But the
That's funny
biggest thing
too.
about this scene, it has, in my mind, the biggest mistake of the movie is where Batman switches places with Black Spider.
You really don't like that, do you?
Oh, I do not. For
Oh,
one
like,
thing,
come on, you know what that's a nod to, though. Come on.
but
It's
for one
almost got
thing, if
him. It's Killer Croc. Come on. That's why they're doing that.
I don't care. For one thing, uh, he changed into that costume very, very quickly.
Yeah, like
But did he
do you have
also
like
put
a
his
tactical
own
costume?
costume on Black Spider? So he dressed an unconscious guy in his own costume very quickly?
There,
No.
there is an explanation, but it's not a good one.
No. You go, Dragon. I have a fun explanation, but you go ahead.
Okay, so the thing is, so there, you'll notice we had an Easter egg where we're going through the Joker's property crate, and we saw, like the Dark Knight mask and everything. There was also a '60s Batman
Yeah.
costume. Seriously, in the making of this thing, the original plan was he was going to be in the Adam West costume, which from behind, if shot right, would look enough like Batman because he's stumbling around. But then they realized, no, that's not really going to hold up the scrutiny. It's not really gonna build to the reveal. We can't cheat that enough if it's the Adam West costume. So there was more of a logic to where he got the second costume from. They ultimately made it a cheat of like, okay, we got to fully cheat. Like he had a spare. He's wearing at least parts of the costume. He's wearing like parts of the costume under the Black Spider costume that he put on.
And he has a second mask. But
Yeah, mainly a
I don't
second
know.
mask.
No, my fun explanation is that Batman is like has learned from the theater kids growing up, and he has just like multiple costumes on him, right? So like if he takes one costume off, he has another one behind. So
I
that's like,
will remind you, Cape and Cow conspiracy. He had the ninja
Yeah, he
mask
had a
underneath the
mask under the
Batman
mask.
mask. It's not out of the
But
realm
he knew
possibility he
in
could
that
have the
situation he knew
retracting
he was gonna
ears.
give up the mask.
Yeah.
Anyway, my
Anyway,
point is Batman's whole purpose in this movie is to find the dirty bomb. That's
yes.
his entire point.
Mm-hmm.
Like he runs in conflict with the Suicide Squad and he fights them because, of course, they're breaking the law and they're hurting people and whatnot.
I have a bigger
But
problem you didn't mention yet, but go on.
but his purpose is to find the dirty bomb. He should take no time at all realizing that while he's disguised as Black Spider, that these guys have absolutely nothing to do with the bomb. And yet he's still walking around pretending and helping them, which leads to a bunch of guards dying.
So so Lazy, you actually did mention what I wanted to talk. So that's the thing. So rewatching the movie, I did notice this. Initially, what I thought happened when I watched the movie was the gag was Deadshot was told to use rubber bullets, and he ended up using the high velocity rounds. My initial read on it was he was so good with the bullets he could actually like basically knock people out using like certain shot, like hitting the side of the helmets and stuff. Initially, but then of course, I'm just talking about this like way back during the first watch. I rewatched it. I saw they actually are getting killed. I completely forgot that. Wait a minute, Batman is Black Spider. At that point, when they're going to the med bay, Deadshot he kills like two guards, and
At
Batman's
least
part of
two.
it. When I looked, so I never caught that. Oh my god, yeah, Batman would not let that stand. So yes, that is a glaring issue in the movie that Batman would still play along to that point.
sometimes even Batman has to be a pragmatist in the
So I really wish they would just take out the death of those two guards because everyone else gets bowled over. They don't get killed.
or
They just
no,
get bowled over.
or like have Black Spider be the one to like take down the guards in non lethal way. So that
If there was a moment where like he was about to fire and then Black Spider says, "No, I got this," and he takes them down.
Yeah,
That would have been something. But no,
you're right.
2 guards get shot in the face, instantly killed.
So look, I completely agree with you. Though that is a glaring issue with the film. All right.
Especially, and like none of them have anything to do with the bomb. So take them down and move on. Especially when they're distracted with all the guards. That would have been the perfect opportunity.
Well, remember, Batman's chasing. I think the main reason Batman's going along with this is that he suspects Harley knows something about the bomb, and she's with the Suicide Squad, so something's going on here in tandem with the bomb. Ultimately, and again, he's not completely wrong because again, it's Harley. It's inside Harley's knowledge, and she didn't intentionally know about this. We don't even
know that she knew that.
Well, that's the thing. I know she doesn't know. I'm still saying he's thinking that maybe Harley is kind of a link to the Joker, and he doesn't know the Joker's broken out at this point. So again, he's thinking something's happening here. Plus, he knows something. He knows they're up to something at Arkham, and he's wondering if this has something to do with the bomb. While he's searching for the bomb, Arkham's being broken into. So he's thinking it has something to do. One has to do with the other.
I don't know. That's my biggest thing, where it's just like it's really out of character for Batman, and yeah, it's just it doesn't fully work.
By the way,
you're distracted by it because pretty soon Black Spider's head blows off, and you have Joker making you laugh by saying, "Denzel, what did they do to you?" But that's one of my biggest gripes with the film. There's one more that is just a really bad continuity error.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll get to that. But that's one of my biggest things is why on earth would Batman let these people die?
All right, real quick. I do. The scene with Zsasz is really great because for 2 reasons. Okay, one is just kind of a nice little nod to the game in which we kind of have a hostage crisis with Zsasz. Also, it's a nod to Batman Returns, but it's just kind of like one. I think technically,
a couple of Batman Returns is the way Harley Quinn goes to the toy store is the exact same way Catwoman did in Batman Returns.
Yeah, a little bit. But one, I think it's actually technically it might be the. I don't know if we've changed this by then. We probably have. I don't know if it's still to this day the only animated Zsasz we've ever gotten, but at least it was the first time we've had Zsasz in animation, so that was kind of big. Regardless, it's a neat scene. It's Batman saving somebody, which I'm always down for in a really cool, effective way. Just while it feels like the Arkham games where he's on patrol and he's just kind of stopping crimes as they happen. But more importantly, the aftermath where he's in the Batmobile. He's telling Alfred, here's another big mistake of this film. Alfred doesn't have a mustache.
He doesn't?
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. That got turned me up. It's like, oh, this is a clean shaven Alfred. That's
really?
Yeah, it doesn't track at all. It's a mistake. It has to be like an animation error. Anyway, so in that scene, though, one of the great Batman moments is when he realizes King Shark's plan was a really great idea. I love that King Shark had this idea, by the way. He suggested they play yesterday's footage, which basically is a way of blinding both Batman and Amanda Waller, and it works on Waller. Batman, though, awesome Batman, he knows the guards and their routines and their schedules at Arkham Asylum. He says, Moshel, that's Moshel. He works Thursday. They're playing yesterday's footage. Like, that's great.
I do like that Batman would know, has cheats, so you cannot play yesterday's footage on
TV. I love that.
That is the most basic thing in any heist or spy movie, and Batman's found the solution.
It's great.
Although I would love to, the day where a couple of guards switch shifts because, their kid's Little League game is on a different date, and then Batman just bursts and is like, what's happening here? What's going on?
Or maybe they were just sick that day, and it's like...
fill it in.
Oh, man.
But overall, though, I think it's a great caper that we have here. Is the idea that the whole Trojan horse infiltration with Harley, and the whole we kind of plant the device, get everyone in. We have Black Spider getting getting kind of incensed as the cook at the guard. I'm not gonna lose this job because your computer is down. Killer Frost entering as the dead body. This is pretty clever stuff. It gets it. I'm loving our heist component here. That gets
Yep.
us from point A to point B. And again, it's a really straightforward plot in that regard until we get to the whole dirty bomb thing, apparently. But
Also, I always liked that this movie had a reason for Harley to be part of the Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
because let's be honest, in most case scenarios, like a Suicide Squad should be a team of the best, most skilled fighters, assassins, sword, whatever, and Harley just isn't that. Now, obviously, she has some skills, some acrobatic skills, and some, great, some really honed skills, but I've never viewed her as the best of anything,
Yeah.
And so here, where they're infiltrating Arkham, a place she's worked at, a place she's escaped from, a place she is utterly familiar with, it's actually the best reason to have Harley on any mission.
Yeah. Absolutely. And again, it's kind of something here I really like about this compared to some of the, kind of like some of the New 52 stuff too, where again, as per you said, Lazerdude, is just, it makes all sense in the world she would be there, and we have these specialists for these specific jobs. Killer Frost, living up to her namesake, being the one you would task with the secret kill mission.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, so that more bridging off of that, here's something I love how we do here, and again, it was very much like the roadmap for what we should have done elsewhere. Joker as the wild card in this mission, because we're in Arkham, Joker would be there, and he and Harley being on the rocks, him having kind of this Hannibal Lecter kind of hold on her as he always kind of has per Mad Love. It's it's just kind of great. And I love like the guards are like clamoring, like they're getting seats for the show, like on the sidelines here. They're taking in the show. Yeah, maybe she'll kill him this time. Just the ambiguity on Harley with how she kind of maybe or may not intentionally break him out. But it's the fact that Joker is like he's the he's the wrench in the machine here. The fact that he basically he hasn't come in until the whole until basically cross over the dirty bomb plot there. It's just kind of great that he he blows up like the straightforward mission of the Suicide Squad, and it all goes to chaos, which originally was how that David Ayer one was supposed to go. And this is that done right. Where you do bring the Joker back. If you're going to mandate the Joker because Harley's on the team, this is how you do it.
Yeah. No, absolutely, because the biggest problem with the other Suicide Squad movie is that they have Joker and Harley like love each other, which is just not the dynamic which is there. It's Joker uses Harley Quinn to do whatever he actually wants. And Joker's only after Harley Quinn in here because she has rejected him, and now he's mad that one of his playthings is thinking for herself.
I bet you buy a shirt secondhand too. What a good line again. Heath Corson, man, he had really on point dialogue. Yeah. Oh, how great was it with like they had this scene too when the Joker escapes? It's very Scott Snyder-esque. Like it's Joker in the dark, killing the guards by like snaps one of the necks and then like pulls out like the pin of like the tear gas thing from the other guy and like no peeking, and he's whistling Christmas music as a nod to Arkham Origins, which is really cool.
I love this is my favorite line in the movie. He picks up Black Spider's like decapitated head and is like, Denzel, what have they done to you?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's just great line and great delivery by Troy Baker.
And then he can hear everyone getting electrocuted and he says, I know that sound. Somebody's flossing their brain.
He's got so many good lines. Calling him like
That's
dead
just
shot,
such a
dead
great
head,
way
and
to describe it too for him. Because it's just like for everyone, electroshock therapy would be a very dangerous and terrible thing. For Joker, it's just another Tuesday, like flossing.
It's also like the reveal of the whole Black Spider Batman thing's pretty cool too, where like they're all like Riddler picks up on it, like oh guys just laughing at the reveals. They're all like kind of putting it together.
Well, Riddler always thinks everything is funny that he figures out before everyone else.
Yeah, but also, I mean, the whole setup, by the way, with the so in the Riddler knowing how to discern the bombs, which basically is like fry him from the head with electroshock therapy. That was a really good idea, and would be tied to Arkham Asylum, something they would have handy. So makes a lot of sense. It's really cool, and I like the visual of like the little X in the head, like kind of heats up until it freaks out. Like it's great.
No, I do like the X. That's a really cool design. I wish they did that in other mediums too, where you could like see it glowing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially if Waller like gives you a timer.
Yeah,
Like get it done by this point, or otherwise you're gonna be all disavowed. And
that's a
so
good
like
idea right there.
it glows red, and redder is like the less time you have.
Again, the tension's really good too. Is the idea that it was something on the rewatch that kind of occurs to you, like it is really smart that they did kind of blind Waller, because there's a lot of tension there of just like Waller's like seeing yesterday's footage, and she's like wondering what the heck are you in the medical center, like yeah, Black Spider's injured, but he's like she's seeing him in the hallway, like wait a minute, I'm tracking his marker, which is like a little tip off to like wait a minute, that's not Black Spider.
I wish though, my thing for the twist with Black Spider is that, I mean, not that I don't think the average person, they watch the movie for the first time, would notice this, but it's like when you hear the moaning of like a Batman or this Black Spider, it's like I know that's not Kevin Conroy's.
Well, also if you look, you can see it's the wrong mouth, but yeah.
Yeah, no. But I kind of wish there was a little bit more effort to make the twist a little bit.
I don't know. I feel like the problem is like I don't know, like anyone who has been in comics long enough wouldn't pick up on that. Like there was I can't remember exactly because I haven't rewatched it, but there was like a big explosion, and then when everything came down, Black Spider comes down walking in costume. But it's like anybody who's been in comics, they know that was long enough of time for Batman to have made a switch, and we all know that Black Spider isn't getting the hand over flipping Batman. Okay, that's not happening.
Well, that's the thing. It's not that he beat Batman. It's that he was able to get the belt off of him and kind of like evade capture. It's more. It's more so like the thing too, where you can kind of. I think you can buy enough of it that okay, maybe because he sliced the belt off and he got away.
Yeah, but when you first watched this, did you think if it was Black Spider, or did you think it was Batman?
I mean, look, I suspected it was probably Batman, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Then again, though, because I've seen Batman pull that kind of thing before, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, like obviously, if this is your first comic book thing, you're probably not going to think that. But like, I'm just saying, it wasn't like that big of a reveal.
Well, I mean, I can still appreciate it, though.
The only moment I thought it might not be Batman is when those two guards died.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that would have loved. It would have been hilarious if just to throw out the send, like he just stands by as guards get killed, just to make people think it's Black Spider. I gotta commit to the bit, Alfred.
I'm glad Batman being party to murder.
Craig and Brink.
Well, Batman being party to murder amuses you, Rohith.
It amused the Joker. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so Deadshot. I want to mention this again. So again, Neil McDonough doing a brilliant job as Deadshot, just being very experienced, but also what we showcased really well and really memorably is we showcased the Death Wish on Deadshot really well too. Where that's how he gets a lot of his kind of his power and his respectability. Where King Shark's kind of like causing a ruckus, and he basically says go on, bite my head off. None of you guys are going to get out of here without me. And later on, most memorably, he out crazes the Joker.
Yeah,
you're out of bullets. I'm going to count to 3, and he's like, stop counting. I know I have a bullet in here, and he shoots. It's great.
Why didn't he just test it by shooting forward?
Well, again, it's like the Looney Tunes logic of the Joker, though. That's the thing, though, where again, Joker's just kind of thrown off by a guy who's he's just thrown off by it.
It's kind of like the Roger Rabbit sort of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
You just have to like make it funny, and then he'll have to do it.
Yeah.
Like that is a
Joker's
great
never had
point.
someone with
should
this
do that
much
more in
disregard.
comics too.
He's
Where-
never had this someone with this much disregard for their own life. Just like walk up, like gun to his head, like, yeah, you're out of bullets. It's like, wait, no, I'm not.
It would have been
It
funny
should
if
be a
he just
Batman comic where everything is super serious. Joker is his murderous self, and then Batman says, "You're going back to Arkham." No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Yes,
Yes,
I am.
I am, and
Oh,
that's
wait.
fine.
And then he's just in Arkham, and the comic ends. Like,
it would have been funny if Joker just decided to just point the gun and shot, like, most likely not Killer Frost, but Boomerang. It just and Boomerang just
he's like,
gives like
I'm sure there's bullets in here. Fires and shoots Boomerang. That's funny.
That would be really funny, actually. And so, speaking of which, I want to talk about that too. Deadshot Boomerang's dynamic is a lot of fun. We kind of have this demonstrated very well in the game of darts. It's just literally like like the two guys with excellent marksmanship just kind of messing with each other, and the fact that Deadshot takes himself very seriously. Perfect shot, Boomerang. He's partying with the guys again. He's a pretty good shot. It's a very Flash Rogues kind of thing to do, and he almost like, sorry mate, bad bounce, almost like takes out Deadshot's eye.
And then just punches Boomerang. I love the gag of Boomerang just getting punched in the guts.
Yep, and by Killer Frost, he gets kicked in the ghoulies.
Yeah.
Also, he gets headbutted by Killer Frost.
No, Killer Frost.
Remember, she smacks his head and Deadshot's together. It's at that moment where they realize there's a bomb going off. They all need to get out of here. They all look at each other, and she smacks them both in the head and runs away.
Oh, right, yeah, because they're bickering. Yeah, right.
Well, they're all like, we're not friends. We're all supervillains. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't trust you. Bye.
See, I feel like there's a little manufactured because it's like, look, if y'all just get on the helicopter and just fly away as far as you can, y'all just go your separate ways and not have to interact with each other. Like that, I feel like there should have been another way where, of course, only one person can get and operate the vehicle.
Well, I mean, they all were racing to the same destination. They just kept getting sidetracked. It wasn't them like fighting each other to get there. Ultimately, it was Boomerang and him doing that. But that's Boomerang and Deadshot, though. They hate each other.
But that's the thing that I do like about it, is because these are not heroes. You know, the heroes could trust each other and rely on each other to do whatever needed to be done. And these guys can't. It's not in their nature. It's only me. And so even though it makes sense for them to all go together to that helicopter together, they just can't. And I like that for a Suicide Squad movie to be like, yeah, these are just terrible people, and they're going to continue to be terrible people. And look, I like the ending of the Suicide Squad, where they're like, hey, all right, we're going to be heroes. We're going to take down this giant starfish. I like that as an ending, but I also like it when it's just like, hey, we're terrible people and we're going to continue to do terrible things.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you have to be like a do-gooder to just think logically. It's like, look, if we're just trying to get away, we all get on this helicopter and just get away and then go our separate ways.
But Boomerang's not going to do that,
in the back. Maybe you stab me in the back while I'm flying the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
Can't trust you.
Anyway, let's see. So again, also just in terms of, I guess, shouting out just kind of the Arkham of it all. Again, so we use the landscape and the geography of the location from Arkham Asylum, very well. With I think it's very well adapted.
The tower scene is basically straight out of the game.
Yeah. So the tower scene, you have just like the way the doors open, and like also getting to the medical wing with like kind of the dilapidated parts of the mansion, and of course our breakout and the cells and everything. It's all very well. So now, admittedly, once we get to that, though, then we do have the thing where again, it's very much a mandated thing. We're like, okay, we got to have some very much like Arkham, kind of some landmarks of the Arkham Asylum game, which means Scarecrow randomly fully in costume. The big one. Bane is all hooked up to the thing where that wouldn't happen until like literally like probably
doesn't make sense.
And again, Laser, they know it doesn't make sense, but that was a mandate. That one was coming down from the top. They kind of had to do that one.
Well, tell the top to screw them, because hey, Bane at this point should be at Blackgate, not Arkham, because that's the last thing we hear Commissioner Gordon say is, I thought he broke out of Blackgate.
Yeah.
And B, if he, like if he is in Arkham Asylum already, he's hooked up to those machines and he's getting drained right now. There's no way that he's breaking loose.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense.
I don't disagree, but to me, look,
have Killer Croc running loose. That would have been fine.
Yeah.
Have Killer Croc running loose and bite off Aaron Cash's arm. There you go. That's a nice little Easter egg for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well,
I don't know why
he can't do that. He can't do that because in continuity, I think it's in it's in an interrogation room when that happens.
That's actually true. That was during an interrogation.
But still, if you had Killer Croc there instead of Bane, nobody's saying nothing.
That said, I will shout this out. I do love Batman saving Gordon from Bane, which kind of mirrors the first game a bit. Just a little bit. I like the Batman saves him. He kind of steers him away. He's about to charge towards Gordon. He steers him into the water. I know, it's kind of neat. Anyway, let's see. Now, then we have Ivy again. Conveniently, Ivy has like the same exact giant plant monster from Arkham Asylum, but maybe she just really likes that plant, though. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Hey, but didn't she only get that plant monster after she was infused with Titan?
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, that one's more. I think it's more an excess. She just like she can. She's not. It's not glowing. It might not be glowing the same way, or something might be a little off of it. Again, it's just more of a plant shape. I don't think it's like specifically because it's Titan infused. I'm saying we have more glaring issues than the plant thing. Okay, it's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get Deadshot and Boomerang fighting for the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
Deadshot moves the helicopter on its side. Boomerang falls out.
Mm-hmm.
He's flying for a good 5 seconds, and then out of flipping nowhere,
okay, come on,
Joker and Harley Quinn turn up, and they're just in the helicopter out of nowhere.
Well, that's because he's the Joker, though. Okay, he's gonna be able to do that kind of stuff.
Come on, Dragon. He's the Joker. That's some bad god logic there.
No, I mean he's looking for an escape. Joker's escaped Arkham more than anyone on that island. He would be the one to go to the helicopter, and he already had a head start in getting out of there.
We saw that helicopter have no one in it when it was off of the ground, and there's no door in this helicopter. So how did they appear in this helicopter?
It's a cheat for the reveal. They're in there, but they're hiding, and he's battling Boomerang while it's happening. So he's not noticing.
We saw that whole helicopter in the fight scene with Boomerang.
Like I said, it's a cheat. They're there, but we're not seeing it. Okay.
Are they batting the camera in that scene? Did they break the fourth wall and they're filming it?
Well, you do know Joker does break.
That was perfect.
Joker does break the fourth wall in this movie, though. Technically, he looks the camera when he sees Batman stumbling down the hallway.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
But okay, that to me is just one of the biggest continuity errors that I
come on, that is not the Bane thing's a continuity error. That's just more of that's a cheat.
Well, okay? Yeah, but that's a continuity error. I'm sorry, I meant continuity in the shots.
Oh, you mean like a visual?
Not in the story. I mean continuity in the shots. It's just I'm trying to think of a more egregious one I've ever seen in film history, and I'm thinking of Pippin's arms were untied when the horse was above him, and then he rolls over and his hands are tied again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing I can think of that's more egregious than this.
Okay, anyway. Point being, we have so during this Arkham breakout, we have the helicopter scene, which we have Deadshot fighting the Joker, and we have Harley Quinn fighting Batman once the helicopter crashes. By the way, just Harley Quinn having to pilot that helicopters during all this chaos and just let him decide who to shoot and everything. It's again playing with the
She
loyalty.
pilots it, keeps it from falling out of the sky, and then says, "Pedal." So she's very skilled, even though she doesn't know how it works. But good for her.
Yeah. And what'd you think of the Deadshot Joker battle?
I will say it feels weird that Deadshot was using a lot of like hand-to-hand combat and didn't use his like primary skill set of just being like a great marksman.
Well, I think he's out of ammo, or like the thing wasn't firing.
No, but like he can use just regular projectiles, right? Like if he can use a dart. No, here's it. He has shards of glass on his body. How cool would it have been if he just ripped it off and just threw it at the Joker?
Well, didn't he try that?
No, I don't recall him using like.
Yeah, I guess. Well, that's the thing. He was in. I guess he was like double over in pain from the glass being thrown at him, and he did throw the knives at him, pinning him into the helicopter.
On his back, it would have been so cool for him to just pull it out and just like threw it at him. Like, I mean, with how much he got hit, like
it's for a fight that's Deadshot versus the Joker. You wouldn't necessarily expect it to just be a brawl.
Well, remember, if Deadshot can throw anything at the Joker's going to be dead, and we can't have that.
But then why have Deadshot go up against the Joker if you don't have Deadshot do Deadshot things?
Well, the problem is this is a movie that is wedged into the Batman universe, and because it's Batman, everyone of the producers is like, what do people love to see? Joker's
okay. Hey, wait a minute. Okay, don't dumb down James Tucker like that, man. That's
no. I wasn't saying him. I mean, it's just
you said the producers. He's the producer on that, man.
Well, okay, I meant just like the higher ups, as you would call it.
Okay,
it's just like people don't think we want to see something Batman related without the Joker. It's like it was like that we were like, oh, finally, Arkham Origins. We're finally getting a Batman story that's not Joker centric. It'll be good to take a break from that. Nope, not happening. Not happening. It's just like, Joker doesn't have to be like Magneto, just always in the X-Men story. We can just focus on other villains for once. Like, think about it. He's the only villain that's ever been killed, and yet is still one of the main antagonists in the next game. And I don't mean like they thought he was dead. His corpse literally gets burned alive in the first seconds of the game of Arkham Knight, and he's still one of the biggest antagonists in the game. So that's why because it's also Batman.
Yeah. It's overall. It sounds like you definitely think the Joker kind of escaping on the helicopter was a bit extra.
It's just the fact that he appears there,
Well, he would be in the asylum. So all the stuff of him in the asylum that does track though.
The asylum stuff is fine. No, yeah. Look, honestly, I don't even hate Troy Baker as the Joker in this. I think he's great. It's just one of the things that the movie isn't allowed to just be the Suicide Squad, It also has to be Batman, and it kind of ends up to being half of two different things. However, I will say that when this movie came out, it was a breath of fresh air because I remember DC animated movies at this time were not doing good. I remember Throne of Atlantis, I think, was one of the ones that was before this one. And I remember hating that movie with a passion. This movie has continuity errors. It has stuff that bugs me. It has a few cliches, but I still had a good time with it because the characters are likable and enjoyable, and I want to see their journey all the way through.
Yeah. Well, actually, sorry, I'm just thinking about it right now. I think this was before we started getting those. Like seriously,
what?
we're getting like the initially continuity driven DC original animated films, because before this, we had stuff like we had Batman Year One, Justice League Doom, Dark Knight Returns, and like Superman versus the Elite. Like we didn't get. You know what? I'm sorry. You know what? I'm sorry. I was realizing, I keep conflating it because they broke up Dark Knight Returns into two parts. But you're right. No, we started that process right before this, and then we fully got into that sort of thing. You're right. It was a breath of fresh air. It was kind of a throwback to the good stuff we were getting amidst all that.
Yeah. Well, also just the fact that it earned its dark adult tone, like every other movie that was coming out from the DC universe had the characters going like "damn" every 5 seconds to feel more edgy and adult when it really didn't need to be.
Where the tone of the Suicide Squad would be this and would be natural.
Exactly.
And would fit. Like we would have for example, we have some fan servicey stuff in this. Feels kind of appropriate for the Suicide Squad.
Yep.
No, I think this movie, at the time, it was good for what it was, but I think as time's gone by, with other, Suicide Squad movies, with Hell to Pay and the Suicide Squad, I think this movie, kind of is diminished in my view. It's not bad, but it's not great. I think for me, the fact, the way the character introductions are done with like all this like dubstep music is like, oh, this is like very much of its time. Like when dubstep kind of was like at the last throes of being constantly used for like movies and TV, as like action music or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe to round things out too. I mean, we should mention the tail end. It's a really nice nod to the classic Suicide Squad. We had like the big scene that Batman and Waller never quite had. They had stuff in homage to this in JLU, but we kind of finally did the scene proper, where it's a scene early on at the Austrian run Suicide Squad, which of course huge inspiration for the James Gunn version. Where Batman confronts Amanda Waller about the squad, and she basically kind of shuts him down on that one, like saying, like, you don't really have any power here. And then we have this fun surprise of, Deadshot most likely killing this version of Amanda Waller.
Well,
it's ambiguous, but we don't see
the video game. The Suicide Squad video game, Amanda Waller's alive.
Well, that doesn't count. Doesn't count. Plus, that's the skinny Amanda Waller as well.
Yeah. You like how his daughter's in the background just with headphones?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, he's making sure she's distracted and everything. She's playing with like a little plushie.
Also, ear protection.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I always thought, it was a really solid ending. Kind of a classic Suicide Squad scene followed by kind of a nice surprise.
Yeah. No, I like that. It's a nice note to end on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. It is kind of sullied by the fact that Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Just
yeah. Although I was just thinking, Deadshot's gonna get caught immediately because Batman just left.
Maybe this Batman's a little more permissive.
Well, here's a question.
This Batman lets people die all the time.
Well, here's a question. Legitimately, Batman's coming there to warn her to shut it down. Do you think Batman knows Deadshot's out there and he has the opportunity to, like, hey, if you
well, Deadshot's taking that shot no matter what.
I know he's taking the shot no matter what. What I mean is Batman like making the choice not to save her there because she's turning down. No, I'm going to do whatever I want, rich boy.
Well, let me just say, this is Arkham Batman. Arkham Batman that claimed that even after everything Joker did, he would have still saved him. I think that.
Well, that's true. This like Waller brought this on herself, though. I mean, literally, she's like, she's employed these criminals. They're like, they're very much killers, and they're doing all sorts of like shady stuff for her, and they very much like she's gonna justifiably tick them off. And like she's saying, like, hey, don't get anywhere near me. Don't try and. She's essentially saying, don't save me there.
Well, look, I'm just saying that if this is Arkham Batman in character, There's no way he would let anyone get killed.
Well, look, that's fair.
No
All
matter
I'm
who
saying
they
is,
are.
Yeah,
look,
like
you probably
no, yeah, and because considering how angry he got at Penguin just shooting some Gordon's men in front of him in Arkham City, like that. Yeah, it would be very funny in a way. Like Deadshot takes the shot, like Amanda falls down, but then she gets back up and then takes off her mask, and it's like Batman with his cowl blocking the bullet.
Batman in a fat suit.
hey, it's happened before. Dark Knight Returns.
Batman is basically Ethan Hunt.
All right. Okay, regardless, still though, you're right. Deadshot, again, we know he's going to be in Arkham City, so because of that, Deadshot does get recaptured at some point.
Well, I always thought that Deadshot was smuggled himself into Arkham City because he had people on a hit list.
You're actually right. Lazerdude, I apologize. You're absolutely right. So yeah, he does get away scot-free, but he throws himself back in there for a job.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's I think that's solid.
A little Easter egg. If you look at the building behind Deadshot, there's Azrael in the back. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Way in the back. All right, look.
So on my TV, I drew him on.
All right, so I guess just to round things out a little here. So, and look, we've kind of talked through this thing. I still have a great fondness for this movie. I fully admit there are a few things that don't add up on the rewatch.
Yes,
I'll give the Black Spider thing until we have like those two guards getting killed. I'll give the Black Spider thing a miracle exception. The rest of it, I admit, there's some mandating. We're kind of mandating some Arkham game stuff with like Bane. And maybe a leap in Batman just letting those two guys get killed. But aside from that, I still love this thing. I still think it was. I mean, look, in a world where we now have the Suicide Squad movie that James Gunn did. I mean, pre that I would say easily this was the best interpretation of the Suicide Squad that we got. I love.
You think this would be better than the Task Force X episode?
Well, that's okay. Well. The one thing that Task Force X episode was missing was Batman, which would have been really cool. But you're right, though. We don't need Batman to tell a good Suicide Squad story.
I think I prefer that one just because, that's an episode where the villains win.
Yeah.
They sacrifice everyone that they need, and they still walk away victorious. And so I think I would put that one over, but this one I wouldn't begrudge it. I think that one is more of a perfect episode where this one, it has a lot of stuff that kind of bug me that are kind of wrong with it. But overall, I still really enjoy it as a product.
Sure. I mean, look, I just blanketed by saying this. Okay, I think the Suicide Squad animation has been well represented. I mean, we've had 3 really good takes on the Suicide Squad. I mean, maybe in this if you have to rank them, look, the Task Force X episode is great. I think on some fundamental level, though, it's like, it's great, but why couldn't they be in costumes? Clearly, there's a good reason why they aren't in costumes. It's part of the mission, but it's like the fan thing.
I will say the Task Force X episode has a thing where, since it's still part of a cartoon that kids are going to see, it does hold back a little bit. Like none of the heroes get. Well, no, actually,
we don't. No, we horrifically we maim Plastique, but we don't see it though.
We maim Plastique, but also Martian Manhunter gets torn in half by the Destroyer armor.
Yeah, but he's a Martian. He's fine.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying that actually is pretty dark.
Yeah. Anyway, the point being, though, look, if I had here's the thing: if I had the whole, I love Hell to Pay, but I also. I like the simplicity of this. I like just the simplicity of it. It's a stationary location. It's a caper. It's a heist movie. I don't know. There's something that speaks well for that. But then when you hold this up to Task Force X, I mean, it's also a heist episode. And it's done 20 minutes and it's done pretty well, but it has less characters. So, maybe, I don't know. The point being, Suicide Squad animation seems to be a winning bet, and we've seen to be carrying over a lot of those aspects into live action, a la James Gunn, and even with Creature Commandos coming up, which is bringing it back to animation in a sense. So it's the team of villains and or monsters is coming back, and it's a lot of fun. And again, I think in some respect we owe it maybe in some respect we kind of owe it to this, to kind of bringing the Suicide Squad into kind of a feature format of some kind. So
I think this did play a good blueprint for it, and I think what it did. I think why I enjoy this movie more than other movies that also have problems with it is that the stuff that they needed to get right, they did.
Yeah.
Harley and Joker's relationship in this movie is really basically just how you would want it in the comics. Now, the Deadshot Boomerang rivalry is just how you would want it in the comics. The Killer Frost King Shark sort of flirtatiousness with their characters is actually kind of charming, and you're kind of actually sad when it doesn't work out in the end. So the stuff that they really needed to get right, they got right. Especially also with Deadshot and his attitude and the way he reacts, and Amanda Waller being so good. So the stuff that they really needed to get right about the Suicide Squad movie, I think they got right. And all the other stuff, the continuity errors, the stuff like that, that's just, no movie's perfect, and I still walk away with a smile on my face when this movie ends.
At the end of the day, at least it has an ending, unlike the game, the Suicide Squad game they put out.
The pitfalls of live service games when there's truly no end.
Yep.
No, I think Assault on Arkham, for as much as I make certain criticisms of this movie, I think this is a fine service movie that if you were to watch it, it's not a waste of one's time. I think there's fun moments here and there. I think the best part of this movie is like the voice acting. I think I kind of wish I harped on it more. Neil McDonough is great as Deadshot. And all the Suicide Squad characters have really good chemistry with one another. I think for me, where I don't love it as much as, say, other Suicide Squad stuff is that for, say, Hell to Pay and the Suicide Squad, there's a sense of like character arcs that you get to really know and appreciate and get into the psychology of the Suicide Squad characters. With this being like an hour and 15-minute movie, you don't really get into the character work or the character depths. You just kind of go off vibes and have sort of this kind of a romp, which is not bad. But if I want a little bit more, I could get that from the Suicide Squad. But this is kind of a fun, serviceable, superhero action movie. That has certain things that people can appreciate that are into DC stuff overall. And I think if nothing else, like this is a decent enough entry into the Suicide Squad, but I think after that, I feel like if you watch like the JLU episode, Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay, the Suicide Squad, and get into the comics or whatever, like that's where your experience enjoyment of the Suicide Squad will eventually just go up after watching this. But yeah.
Yep. All right. So I want to thank the folks for tuning in. Sorry we didn't really shed out a lot there. We we kind of got a little sidetracked there. We had a Code Geass anime fan in the comments. He says also Kevin Conroy always gave a great memorable performances for Batman, which of course he did. And even here, the whole the Moshel works Thursdays. There's a lot of good stuff there. Little Blue was in the comments. And we had Jacob kind of run things there, quoting, mine are bigger than yours, which Batman said Waller. Yeah.
Classic Batman Waller line.
All right, so again, folks, thanks for tuning in. Again, definitely check in on us next month, where we're going to round things out with Arkham Origins for the holidays.
The most revered game of all of the Arkham games.
Well, yeah.
Is this the dark horse, or is it forgotten on purpose? We'll find out next time.
All right. See you at Christmas, folks.
Yahtzee.
Yahtzee!